So I'm gonna get started, students, because we don't have a lot of time. I want to just start with some student applicants, I should say, but a lot of you are students right now, I'm sure. I'm going to introduce our academic advisors in case you didn't meet them in the general orientation or preview day festivities. So Julie Coe, want to wave, Julie, is the advisor to our MPA students. Chris Dinu, want to wave, Chris, is our advisor for international students, and Karina Kane, Karina, is our MPP advisor. These are academic advisors who guide our students through the program. They are invaluable. They are wonderful resources. You must become their best friends. They will be your best friends. If you join AU, you will see that they are going to literally walk you through everything and guide you. So it's really helpful. Lots of graduate programs do not have academic advisors. So we are really lucky to have these dedicated people. So what I want to do is quickly go through some of the slides that I sent you. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them because I want you to be able to ask questions. You should have received a slide deck, a handout file, and concentration books for your program. My name's Jocelyn Johnston. I'm the MPA director, but I'm also directing the MPP program for the foreseeable future because our MPP director was just promoted to the provost's office. So she's kind of busy doing other stuff now. So let me get started by sharing my screen. Okay, so these are the slide deck slides that I referred to. And I'm just going to do very, very quick, skates through these slides. I introduced the academic advisors. We're going to look quickly at core and electives, sample course plans, and those other topics here, capstone topics, practicum topics, etc. I'm going to start with the MPA really quickly. We have 7 core classes. The classes in the ones in red are those that provide choice, and they, with the exception of number 1 and number 7, which are our gateway and our capstone classes, the other classes can be taken anytime. So there's a lot of flexibility built in. We don't have prerequisites for most classes. So the series in which you arrange your classes is really left up to you and your advisor. We have these public management electives that are required. You have to select 2 of these. We have several 685 and 696 topics classes, some of which can be counted for a public management elective. The more important thing for you all is areas of concentration, and you can see this list here. It's in the concentration booklet too. I'm not going to go through the list. I'm just going to tell you that there's a lot of choice. And at the bottom, I just wanted to alert you all to the fact that for both the MPA and the MPP, we anticipate launching next semester a new concentration in race, policy, and administration that's going to bring together courses from our curriculum, from the Department of Justice Law and Criminology, and from several other units across campus. This is a sample course plan for a student who's concentrating in public management. So you can see possible classes for the first semester. 612 is that gateway class that has to be then, but nothing else does. I also want to point out that this person's taking a summer class. Most of our students do. That allows them to finish in 2 years. And then again, in the spring, the final semester, that 610 capstone class is a requirement in that semester. So lots of choice. This is simply another course plan for a different concentration, international management. The MPP program has 10 core requirements. There is also choice for number 8 and number 9. But one of the features of the MPP curriculum is that it builds on itself. So number 3, 602, quantitative methods 2 requires 601, and so on. So there are a few of these throughout the program. You applied policy analysis. There are 3 choices of classes here, one of which has I guess all of them have prerequisites actually. And then there's what we call the context classes, which sort of fill in beyond policy analysis about the background of policy analysis, the organizations, the ethics, the law, etc. And then finally, a policy practicum, which is done in groups for a client. That is done in the final semester. For both programs, internships are required. They can be taken for credit, for 3 credits. Most students do not take them for credit. They do informal internships because they want to do several throughout their program of study. So we have a survey system whereby as graduation approaches, you are asked to provide information on your most substantive or your longest or your most interesting internship, and that satisfies the requirement if you don't have sufficient professional experience to waive out of the internship requirement. But you can also take it for 3 credits and actually have it like a course where it's much more supervised, much more structured, and so on. Most students don't want to do that in part because they want to save those 3 credits for another class. MPP areas of concentration, also lots and lots of choice. And again, emphasizing at the bottom, the new one that we plan for spring. Sample course plans for the MPP. This is for a student who's concentrating in advanced policy analysis. Again, notice the summer class. Notice that these 3 classes in the first semester for MPPs, almost all new MPPs take these 3 classes because the remaining classes, many of them require these 3. This is for a student concentrating in social policy. These are some representative internships from for MPA students. Sorry. I don't know why suddenly I can't click through my slideshow. Sorry about that. Okay, so, and then we have, for some reason, I still can't do it. So let me stop sharing again, and I'll just tell you that, do it this way. Probably won't be quite as visible, but I'm going to do it this way anyway. So representative internships for MPAs, for MPPs. There's a lot of cross-fertilization. MPAs and MPPs often work in the same organizations, doing different things or doing similar things. This is a list of recent capstone topics and a list of recent MPP policy practicum topics. You can access on our web pages, both degree programs have this link to We Know Success. I'm sure it was discussed with you earlier. You can click on that link and get information about the rate of students that are employed or in graduate school within 6 months of graduation, information on salaries, employers, etc. What I want to emphasize to you is that the statistics are all very good. Our students are very successful. These are just some representative ones from a couple years ago for MPAs. But we do an exit survey with all of our students in their final semesters prior to graduation. And typically 85% of them already are employed or in a full-time internship before graduation. So that other number that I just showed you is 6 months post, but in fact, the success rate is very high, even prior to graduation. Students will end up taking classes together because outside of the core, there are many electives and most students build programs of study around those electives, both MPAs and MPPs using the same classes. We do have a math boot camp for MPP students and for MPAs concentrating in policy analysis. I can talk about that if you like. And there is a graduate student journal called The Public Purpose. Our programs are highly recognized. I'm sure you know that. I want to emphasize that our classes are small. You will have very close connections to faculty. They will get to know you. You will get to know them. That even happens in virtual classes such as those that we're teaching now due to COVID. In some ways, I'm doing better at keeping track of my students' names and faces because they are arrayed in front of me every week. So I have no excuse not to know names. But you can see that several of our programs are ranked particularly high. I want to mention the public management and leadership, sort of the PA part of rankings, 4th in the nation. Public policy analysis, 14th. What I want to say about that is that it's come up from like 28 or 30. It's just growing like hotcakes. We have hired a lot of outstanding public policy faculty, and we are right up there now with the best programs in terms of public policy. This is a boot camp slide that you can look at that just goes over some of the stuff that's taught in boot camp. That boot camp happens in the week before classes begin. Typically on campus, we did it virtually this year. So that is only in the fall. It's offered in August, just before classes begin. We used to include econ in the boot camp, but the economics professors decided that they really wanted to be able to go over the basics themselves. And so now we really limit it primarily to math and algebra to prepare you for stats and to some extent for econ as well. We have lots of social events. We regularly have pizza days where we just hang out with faculty and eat pizza. It's a social event a couple times a semester. We have career and networking events. Each semester we preview courses coming up for the next semester so students can get better information about electives. We have a panel of faculty to talk about those electives. You know of Graduate Student Council, and there are lots of other things too that are offered by SPA and the university that are, you know, interesting to our students. That is all I wanted to say. I'm going to stop sharing because that slide deck, you all have it. And so you can look at it at your leisure. It may be your bedtime reading tonight, I don't know. But in any case, feel free now to ask questions if you like. I'm going to ask you to type your question into the chat box. And Julie Coe, who's our MPA advisor, is going to read those questions as they come up, and I will do my best to answer them. While you're getting ready to do that, I just want to mention again that I may let Jennifer know about a couple virtual sessions with me and the advisors to do this again in the future in case you want to come back and ask more detailed questions, because this is a very short session and it's sandwiched in between other stuff. So you will hear about those. We'll advertise those when they're ready, probably in early December. Are you seeing some questions, Julie?
Yes, we just had 2 pop up. So,
okay.
Could you explain the process of creating your own MPP concentration?
Yes. So Karina Kainth, who's one of our academic advisors, will meet with you as you're coming into the program, or if you are an international student, Chris would be your advisor, and you will talk about your areas of interest. You don't have to declare a concentration at the beginning, especially not for MPPs, because you really have to take a certain set of classes in your first semester. Karina plots out for you a course plan around your area of interest, like the ones you just saw on the slide deck, that can come from an existing concentration or something that you want to create yourself. And we've had all sorts of concentrations created. It's rare that we reject one. So as long as it's broadly within the realm of public affairs, it will usually work. We're not the only unit that teaches public affairs classes. There are classes at the School of Business that apply sometimes, the School of International Service, other departments, and those are also available to our students. I hope that answered the question.
Okay, next question. With so many options for MPA focus areas, how common is it for students to change or customize their focus area?
Change, yes, I would say fairly frequently. And Julie, customizing is done less these days. We call it now, more and more, there's something called a mixed concentration, which does not post to your transcript. But the reason for that is the SAMI classes that I assume you heard about earlier today. And these are their 0-1 credit classes that are skills-based that our students love. And they may want to take 3 of those for credit and then create a concentration with that set of 3 classes. So Julie, want to add to that? Anybody want to add to that?
I mean, that is definitely something that with the concentrations for the MPA program, most people don't necessarily come in knowing what they want to do. They take a few courses along the way and start gearing it down. And what we found with the SAMI courses that are really popular with our students, and some students want to take different things from different areas, we do allow our students to do a mixed concentration where they can really focus their courses on the areas they want to either expand their knowledge in or focus more on. Anyone else, or should I go for the next question?
Go for the next question.
With so many options, oh, let's see, no. Do you offer dual specializations with regard to social policy and leadership management?
No, if this is for an MPA student, you can do a, you can structure your concentration in such a way that you can emphasize those dual skills. There are, for MPAs, for example, there are public policy concentrations with subunits. So you can concentrate in public policy with a focus on education policy, or you can concentrate in public policy with a focus on environmental policy. So there are some sub divisions, if you will, that some people might call dual. There's just a lot of flexibility with concentrations.
Next question. I saw urban planning and policy 12th on the ranking slide. Is this a concentration within the MPA or MPP?
Yes, it is. We have hired a leading urban sociologist who has created a center, Metropolitan Policy Center, and he is doing a lot of work. Much of it is focused on the DC region, which is rich in terms of urban policy issues. And we have a second faculty member who is in the Department of Sociology that works with him. And we have a third, no, I'm thinking of another one, sorry about that. So that's a research center within the institution. But those faculty are the core of these urban policy concentrations that are available both to MPAs and MPPs.
Could you talk a little more about the internship requirement and the waiver specifically for those who already have employment?
If you have 2 years of professional experience in public affairs that we think is adequate in terms of exposing you to professional development and what we expect from an internship, which is exposure to work in the field, then we waive the requirement. I will tell you is, and that goes through your advisor and ultimately comes to me, and I say yes or no. What I will tell you is that a lot of our students who do waive out of the internship or could, they do internships anyway because they want to. They may already have a history of 3 years in a nonprofit or 5 years at a think tank, but they want to try different things. And so even though they could waive out, they're going to do 2 or 3 internships just to sample different parts of our professional field.
Next question, where can we see class descriptions, syllabi of all classes available in the curriculum?
So if you become a deposited student, then you have access to one of our internal websites that contains all of our syllabi. But if you want particular syllabi, email me or email Jennifer and we will get them to you, or email prospective advisor. They're not proprietary, it's just that we don't have them out on the web because there are so many of them. You wanted to know about syllabi, and what was the other thing, Julie?
Course descriptions and syllabi.
Course descriptions are in the catalog, so that's online. If you just Google MPA catalog course descriptions, you'll get there, and PUAD is our prefix, public administration. That was our old title. And so all the course descriptions will be there. Some of the courses that are listed there are not offered regularly. Some of them are sort of pseudo dead. They're not really around anymore. We have these topics course numbers now where we have a lot of classes that you can't read about in the catalog. So social policy, social welfare programs and policy is not in the course descriptions, but we offer it every year. It's a topics class. And there are many and many of those. You can sort of get an idea of what they are from the concentration booklet. But again, if you want course descriptions for those, let us know. One of the handouts I sent you has a list of classes for spring and summer from the fall preview day that we just held for our students that they wanted to see what was coming for spring and summer so they could decide how to register. And that includes a lot of descriptions.
I'm a prospective MPP applicant. I feel that in my undergraduate coursework in political science, I've gained qualitative skills, but not quite enough quantitative analysis skills. Are students with less quantitative skills still able to succeed in the program? Do you have any recommendations as to how to best prepare?
If you're concerned about it, go to the boot camp. Go to the boot camp anyway. It's kind of fun. You get to know a lot of people. Many students that come into the MPP and the MPA, which also has statistics classes, don't have any statistical background. So we all start from this point. The students don't know anything. So we're going to teach them. We're going to review basic stuff. We have to assume that they don't have a background in this topic. And so we start from that perspective. And within a couple of weeks, everybody's sort of caught up and we can move into the more, the weeds, if you will. But not having a quantitative background is not a problem. Our students succeed very nicely without them.
That was all our questions in the chat.
Okay.
We just got another one. How likely is it that an MPA student could work towards or receive a certificate outside of SPA? Specifically, the real estate certificate offered at the graduate level.
It happens all the time. So this is something you would discuss with an advisor, but many of our students do certificates on top of their degree programs. It usually requires at least one extra class. For our own students, for example, it requires one extra class. We can count a lot of our curriculum in that certificate. If it's outside the unit, we can still work with you to try to get you in that same position where you don't have to take a lot of extra classes.
And that looks like the last question that's come in.
Well, let me ask the advisors, do you have anything to add to what we have covered so far?
I would like to add a couple of things. I think that one of the important aspects when you choose your graduate program, I think it's important to ask what makes your programs different. There are many similarities with other schools in Washington, D.C., but you have to really have those kind of Zoom conversations with each of the schools, each of the programs where you want to apply and where you decide to go, in order to have that question answered. What makes your program or what makes your programs different? And when I work with the MPA and MPP international students, because those are the students that I advise, I tell them, well, it's a combination of things that makes us unique. One is the program location, with everything that Washington, D.C. has to offer in terms of jobs and internships and networking opportunities, etc. But there are other schools in Washington, D.C. or in the DMV area, as we call it, Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. They're good or very good. So what really makes us different is the combination of one, program location, with two, program size. There are programs where you have to be in class with 40, sometimes 60 other students. We cap our classes at 25 maximum. That means that you can be in class with only 7 other students or with 24 other students. And the beauty of that is that you get to know your professors very well. You get to know your peers very well, and you form those lasting bonds with them. So one is program location, two is program size, the intimate nature of the program. And three, I think it's important to understand that we are able to form not just the SPA community, but the American University community, where you might want to actually be in a program that actually has a campus where everything is close together, and you walk to the library and you walk to this meeting with your. There are other schools that are very good, but there are city schools, meaning that they have one building here, another building there. And so if having a campus is important to you, to be part of that campus community, that American University community, I seriously think that you should consider that. So yes, program location, program size, campus, and I think that the faculty that we have are the top in their fields. We many times have professors that are tenured faculty or are tenured track faculty, but we also have a lot of practitioners that basically they have other jobs and then they come, they teach about fields in which they have worked for 10, 15 years. So you learn practical skills. In the end, both the MPA and the MPP programs are practical, more professionally oriented programs, more so than research oriented. So you will learn practical skills that are very valuable in your career, more so than research skills. And this is also the reason why you actually don't even have to write a thesis, neither for the MPA nor for the MPP program. We don't have a master's thesis. So instead, you actually work on a capstone project where you work in groups and, again, practical skills. You're muted, Jocelyn.
You're muted.
Thank you. We're out of time. I wanted to thank Chris. Great points. If you have questions, feel free to send me an email, either my first name or my last name @american.edu, or send it to Jennifer and she'll forward it to me. So, and I'd be happy to share with AS information on the typical incoming SPA class. Jennifer will have that information as well. But at this point, we have to sign off. But I look forward to hearing from you with more questions, and you will be hearing from us about other forums like this where you can meet with me and ask me specific program questions. Thanks so much for spending time with us this afternoon. Have a great weekend.